Folks, in today's episode, I'm going to tell you about 3 players that we're targeting at CCL going into the second half of the season and through the winter time. So be sure to stay tuned to hear what we have to say. Folks, how y'all doing? Thanks for staying with us. Well, it's fun to talk about who's playing really well in the minor leagues. You know, we like to feature those players, or, conversely, who's not playing well. I thought it would be fun to do an episode and tell you about 3 players that we're personally targeting for the second half of the year and going into the wintertime. And the reason I say that is we've talked about this before, but I'll reiterate for those who may be new to the channel. And if you're new, make sure to subscribe. But I will reiterate, the reason we target a lot of these players is because in the winter, there's a little bit less emotion and you may get a better price. And after all, we're in this to make money in sports cards and do the thing we all love, which is be a part of the hobby. So let's get started with number 1 on our list today, or number 3, depending on how you look at it. And that is Sal Stewart, who's currently in the Cincinnati Reds organization at the low A level, the Daytona Tortugas. He's just 19 years old and a third baseman, and his first Bowman Chrome autos can be found in 2022 Bowman Draft. And his autos run about $20 to $30 in raw condition, so we can't necessarily call him a sleeper, but at $20 to $30, I think you can do a lot worse. Sal is currently ranked number 7 for the Cincinnati Reds in terms of their prospects by MLB.com. And his slash line so far this year in 2023 really isn't that bad. And you can see why he's ranked number 7 given his prospect card. He's got a 50 for hit, a 55 for power, a 50 arm, and those are plus assets. As well, his slash line isn't that bad at first glance, hitting .271 with 8 homers and an .802 OPS. He's not blowing the doors off things, but those are very decent numbers. And at 19 years old, there's a lot to like. He's also got 14 doubles. And what that means to us here at CCL is as he gets older, he may actually hit more home runs. So with 8 homers, 14 doubles, I would concur with his power of 55 in his scouting report. He certainly has some good pop, and he's just 19. But what really impresses me about Sal Stewart is his 1-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. At the time of this writing, Sal had 52 walks and 52 strikeouts. That sort of plate discipline at his age, that is rare. So there's a lot to like in Sal Stewart, and we are targeting his cards. Next, we're going to talk about a player who was all the rage when 2021 Bowman Draft first released. He's 20 years old. He's a shortstop currently playing for the Bowling Green Hot Rods. Such a cool name. You guessed it, Carson Williams of the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, Carson Williams' cards have really come down in price, making him more attractive. And keep in mind, this kid is going to be 20 years old until June of 2024. But back to his cards, you can pick up his 2021 Bowman Draft Auto and PSA 10 for as little as $90. That isn't bad for a kid with this guy's talent. Now, I'll concur that while hitting .253 really isn't all that sexy, I still like Carson because he takes his fair share of walks, sporting an on-base percentage of just north of .360. Really pretty good. And my guess is Carson is going to have a brand new high in home runs, or a personal best, for his modest, or let's say short, professional career. Last year in 2022, at the single A level, he hit 19 home runs. But at the time of this recording, which is around the All-Star break, he already had 13. So it's not a stretch to say he will set a new personal best for home runs, and we all like home runs. Not to mention the fact that he already has 12 doubles and 3 triples. So as I said, it's not hard to imagine him hitting more home runs, and someday, maybe soon, he could eclipse the 30 home run mark. I really like Carson Williams, and I know a lot of other collectors do, except I imagine some of them are in at a much higher price point. So we are going to be really aggressive in targeting Carson Williams cards in the back half, if we can find a good deal on them, and into the wintertime. And finally, I know it's hard to believe, we're going to talk about a player who's not even an MLB prospect anymore. This man needs no introduction. It is Mr. Jordan Walker of the St. Louis Cardinals. And while Jordan's debut in MLB in his first, let's call it half of a season, has not been meteoric or crazy, say like Ellie or Ohtani with these are legendary, like Ohtani has legendary numbers, so we'll put that aside. But it probably wasn't the meteoric rise that would be expected when Jordan Walker debuted. But that said, his line is fairly good for his first half season, hitting 278 with 8 home runs and an OPS of 775. And to me, from my perspective, being that he's just 21 years old, the Jordan Walker story, it hasn't really changed. He still has a super high ceiling, and the best part is his cards keep getting cheaper. Now, while it may be early to start buying Jordan Walker because his PSA 10 base autos from 2020 Bowman Draft still tend to go for between $900 and $1,000 on eBay, but I did see a BGS 95 True Gem Blue Refractor for sale just yesterday for $2,000. And while that may be a little high, that is still a pretty attractive price. And in a lot of cases, like the blue, his card prices have been cut in half in some cases. So again, super high ceiling still, 21 years old, something you may want to look at going into the winter. And yes, while it may be early, I am very much targeting Jordan Walker, especially if his prices come in even further going into the end of the year. Folks, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed our little prospect episode. Again, these are players who we are going to be targeting going into the second half of the year and over the course of the winter time. Be sure to hit that subscribe icon if you haven't done so already, so you know when content like this drops. And hit the like episode as well. And if you feel like somebody else might benefit from the content, be sure to share it. Keep in mind that anything said on this channel is strictly my opinion and should be taken as such. You all have a fantastic week.